Most MCU fans would probably agree that the last few years were not very good for Mar-Vell Studios. The carefully crafted story that shaped the Marvel Cinematic Universe is long gone. The new movies lack unifying direction, they are bland, boring, forgettable, and unable or maybe unwilling to recapture the magic of old movies. Facing its darkest hour, Marvel desperately tries to prevent MCU's inevitable demise. But can you really save it after you destroyed so many characters? I must admit that before writing the script, I had my own darkest hour. I started to doubt everything I believed. Is MCU really that bad, or am I exaggerating? I mean, I just made one top 20 list, surely it will be hard to find another 20 characters ruined by the MCU. So here are another 20 characters ruined by the MCU. Number 1. Thor. I like the first Thor movie.
Another!
Unfortunately, the second one was horrible, and for a while it seemed that Marvel didn't know what to do with his character. Until Ragnarok. This was the moment when Thor catched his second wind. Too bad we didn't have to wait long for his downfall.
Oh my god!
I kind of understand what writers were trying to do. They felt a need to always do something new and interesting with Thor, because they were afraid that after Ragnarok he would be back to being boring. We made him lose his hammer, then he got a robot eye, and then he got an axe. So what next? And I can imagine a guy in the writing room saying, let's make him fat. What? Let's make him really fat and depressed. And he will be playing Fortnite all day. It will be so funny.
Gamers are famous for being fat and depressed. It will be easier for them to relate to the character.
Yeah, let's do that. Wait, what is Fortnite? It's not like I had a problem with Thor being depressed and out of shape. The problem was that they were making fun of his trauma. He became a fat and sad clown. This is not a way to write a compelling character. And that's why so many fans were, and still are, upset about this. And it only got worse. Well, maybe not worse, but he is still a clown. Odin's son, mighty Thor, the Thunder, King of Asgard, is no more. He is but a shadow of his former glory. Number 2. Malekith. The main problem with Malekith is that he is incredibly boring. This entire movie is boring. You want to know what I remember from that movie? This, also this, but mostly this. And the main villain, Lord Emo, Master of the Gloom Face, is probably the most blunt and forgettable character in the entire MCU. I don't know much about Malekith from the comics because I was never a huge Thor fan, but I did like this character in the Earth's Mightiest Heroes.
Your armor has very little iron in it.
See, iron is a weakness of Dark Elves. Many mythical creatures like fairies have such weakness. It's a very common thing in mythology and folklore. However, there is in fact very little iron in Tony's armor.
It's a gold titanium alloy.
And Malekith decided to make a little joke out of it. This kind of banter between hero and villain is what makes comic books fun.
This usually works.
All performance issues. 1 out of 5.
This is what people want to see. That's why people like Loki. Because he is quick-witted and has a lot of personality. This version of Malekith is exactly like that, and the voice actor clearly had a lot of fun playing him.
A mortal thinks he can hurt Malekith the Accursed? A mere man? You're batshit insane!
But when I look at the emo elf from the MCU, there is just nothing appealing about him. Number 3. Crossbones. There were a lot of problems with the Winter Soldier movie, but Agent Ramlo was not one of them. In fact, he was a great villain, and the actors who portrays him really gave the character justice. This movie constructs a great origin story for Crossbones, and then he dies. Why? Why? Why would you do that, Mar-Vell? We just got him. We didn't get enough of him. Crossbones is used as a plot device to set the events of the Civil War in motion, which was great and all, but then Sokovia Accords got revoked in a She-Hulk show. She-Hulk? Really? You deserved better, Crossbones. Number 4. Wanda Maximoff, Scarlet Witch. Scarlet Witch started off very well. They made this insanely overpowered character more grounded and more fitting for the movies. She was also a decently written human being, but not for very long. The way some writers create female characters now is kind of weird. In some cases it seems physically impossible because the writers are constricted in some way. It's like they are so scared of doing something wrong, they fail to get it right. The modern woman syndrome constricts the writers to the point that you simply can't have characters that act human anymore, and it's all dictated by vague modern rules of misguided idealism, which became more important than consistency and realism. It does not matter if the creators really believes the ideal or feels forced to comply. The audience is always the victim. Why didn't Doctor Strange help Wanda? Because the writers were afraid of taking away her agency. Story-wise it makes no sense, but the rules are rules. Why is Scarlet Witch never punished for what she did? Because people who made WandaVision either did not see her as a villain or were not allowed to even think that.
Don't let him make you the villain.
You won't let us go. Just let us die.
They'll never know what you sacrificed for them.
But she's even worse in Mom. In the comics, The Darkhold is a book that can corrupt you even if you read one sentence from it. It will give you what you need, but the price is turning evil. Cartoon basically created it to troll people. This piece of information could solve so many problems for Mom. Just say that the damn book corrupt Wanda. I don't know why they didn't do it. Is it because they were afraid of Darkhold taking away her agency? It must be it, because I can't find another reason. Instead we have her doing the most horrible things because she's sad and she wants her fake children back. Also she somehow doesn't care about Vision anymore. Well, f him I guess, maybe he is too white for her now. Number 5. Vision. It's probably an unpopular opinion, but I like the fact that the battle between fake Vision and Snow White Vision ended with the argument. But what happened after that was a disaster. Fake Vision unlocked Snow White Vision memories and then Snow White Vision just fucks off. What? Where? Why? You don't want to save your girlfriend? I suppose the writers were so afraid of taking away agency from Wanda that the only kind of help she could get was from her fake children and her fake husband that she created. Number 6. Photon.
They'll never know what you sacrificed for them.
Number 7. Gamora. So I would prefer Gamora was a big space Amazon lady like in the comics, but I like Zoe Saldana. I think she's a good actress and unlike Tessa Thompson she has the charisma to portray characters like that. And then she was killed. And then she was revived by the power of time travel bullshit. Don't you just love when that happens? The reason we liked Gamora was Guardians of the Galaxy movie. Past Gamora is however a completely different character. Thank you, time travel bullshit. It almost seems like the only reason for bringing her back is to punch Star-Lord in the dick. Ah, the comedy. Let's completely ignore the fact that what happened to Gamora was actually very tragic, because everyone has to act like a complete clown now. Number 8. Arnim Zola. Arnim Zola cares only about two things: science and self-preservation. That's why he transferred his mind into a computer screen inside the robot body. Basically gave himself a form of immortality so he could conduct his insane experiments forever. And I think Captain America the First Avenger portrayed his character flawlessly. It was his perfect origin story. But in the Winter Soldier,
we are both of us out of time.
This is so out of character. And such a waste of character to simply use him as a plot device and a way to force exposition on us. Number 9. Nick Fury. Nick Fury was a character universally loved by everyone. He may not look exactly like the OG Nick Fury from the comics, but Samuel L. Jackson played the character so well that it would be hard to imagine MCU without him. I often say that the two most competent people in the Marvel universe are Doctor Doom and Nick Fury. And that's exactly what Fury was in the MCU. But by now they kind of forgot how important and big of a character he was, so Marvel transformed him into the sad, incompetent old man who is... Jesus man, these Skrull ladies used to be hot in comics, and now they look like Green Goblin's weird cousins. Was it really necessary to uglify them so much? For what purpose?
My formula will make everyone ugly, grotesque, horrific, like me!
Number 10. Super Skrull. Aside from the objectively cool name, Super Skrull is one of the best Fantastic Four villains. Maybe the coolest one aside from Doctor Doom. At least for me, because I really like him. Super Skrull became the name of every Skrull with superpowers, but I am talking about the first and original Super Skrull. I could never remember his name, so I just called him Super Skrull. So Super Skrull had combined powers of all the Fantastic Four. That's what made him a cool and powerful enemy. And yeah, Marvel couldn't use Fantastic Four powers at this point, so they... What the hell is even that? Even if MCU eventually gives us a correct version of Super Skrull, it will always be undermined by this cursed image. Number 11. Agatha Harkness. Agatha Harkness is an old lady. I don't know who this is, but she is sure annoying. So Marvel Midnight Suns is the game I played. There are a lot of things I liked about it, but on the other hand it dunks on many classic characters and they transform Captain America into social justice warrior. In this game Agatha Harkness is a lesbian ghost witch. What's fun about it is that she looks like the character and acts like the character. Somehow, lesbian ghost witch is more true to the character than what we got in the MCU. This incarnation has nothing in common with the real Agatha. Neither the look nor the personality match the original. It's just a random evil witch that they decide to call Agatha Harkness.
And I killed Sparky too.
The game adaptation is much better. Number 12. Mar-Vell. So Mar-Vell, the real Captain Mar-Vell, was a very similar character to Superman. A textbook paragon superhero, but then he died from cancer. Carol Danvers used to be his supporting character, very similar to Lois Lane, but then she stole Captain Marvel's name because dead people can't complain about nothing. And then Carol became this Abomination. No, not you, Abomination, it's not your turn yet. We never really got to see Mar-Vell in the MCU. Instead, we got his grandmother. Stealing Mar-Vell's name from his grandma is not the same thing, but similar enough, I suppose. It's not like the real Captain Mar-Vell would save that movie. The writers would just find some way to clown on him and make Carol Danvers into a superior version just like they did in the comics. So maybe it's for the best. Number 13. Abomination.
You don't deserve this power. Now watch your death!
Meanwhile on She-Hulk.
It's really an honor to be your humble life coach for the evening.
And this is why women shouldn't write superhero stories. Number 14. Moon Knight. Moon Knight is one of the most violent Marvel heroes. His comic books are brutal. Like Spawn, but with less powers and more of the crazy. Meanwhile, in the MCU, we got a discount Deadpool.
Like a butterfly, stinging like a bee. My name's Stephen Whipperby.
We see little of Mark, who should be the main personality. All the cool things are happening off screen. And there is this lady. Remember this lady? What was her name again? That's what we wanted to see in the Moon Knight show. An origin of the character that nobody cares about. Number 15. Mandarin. If you are really old or just weird, you may remember the old animated Iron Man show. At first it was kind of boring, but what really got me into it was Mandarin. In the second season, Iron Man and Mandarin join forces against giant space dragons that want to destroy the Earth. Man, I miss old TV shows. They succeed in defeating them, but Mandarin loses all his rings in the process, and they scatter all over the world like Dragon Balls. Don't ask me why, it's space dragon magic, I guess. And what happened next is really interesting. Iron Man thinks Mandarin is dead. However, at the end of every episode we see Mandarin alive but powerless now. He travels the world and in every episode he recovers one of his rings. At first he is very weak. He almost loses to an eagle. It's like watching Lord of the Rings. There is something really satisfying about seeing Mandarin slowly recover his power. I didn't even care about Iron Man doing Iron Man stuff anymore. I was waiting to see Mandarin. And I knew that when Mandarin finally finds all of his 10 rings, Tony Stark will be in big trouble.
Fine. I'll do it myself.
Basically, each of these short scenes was hyping me up for the final showdown. I had similar expectation towards MCU's Mandarin. So this unfortunate reveal was very disappointing.
What are you? What are you?
My name's Trevor Slattery.
The most important rule of plot twist and subversion is that if the audience expects something completely different than what you have in store, you need to give them something better than what they expected.
Great, it's just some random guy.
Hyping up a character as this important and intimidating figure and then subverting it just for the sake of the joke will inevitably upset a lot of people in your audience. Which is exactly what happened, and it is a writer's fault for trying to be too clever for his own good. But subversions like that are always made for the sake of the writer's ego, and not for the sake of the audience. They eventually fixed Mandarin by replacing the 10 rings with 10 bracelets. Thanks, I hate it. Number 16. Eternity. So Eternity is a genie now, granting wishes. Wow, that was so dumb. Eternity is supposed to be one of the cosmic beings similar to Death. He's basically a personification of the universe. Meanwhile, in the MCU, Eternity is reduced to some cosmic wishing well. It's a dumb idea that creates too many plot holes. Number 17. Kang. Kang was never a very popular villain. He was sort of discount Doctor Doom. But that doesn't mean you can't make good stories with him. In Avengers Earth's Mightiest Heroes, Kang gave us a perfect Iron Man story. When Kang arrived
to eliminate you from the timeline,
Iron Man tries to analyze Kang's technology, and he fails. Kang future tech is so advanced that it's beyond understanding even for someone like Tony Stark. This is Tony's biggest nightmare. Technology is his contribution to the team. This is his role, his job. Yet he is completely useless against Kang. It was a great episode. Meanwhile, in the MCU, Kang technology randomly gives information to strange old ladies. Kang is supposed to be a super genius, but MCU always makes him dumb. His technology is dumb, his motivation is dumb, and he is just dumb. Back in the old days, MCU was able to make compelling stories even about the most obscure characters. What happened? Why are you so miserable, Mar-Vell? Number 18. Falcon. Falcon wasn't really ruined. He was completely erased from the MCU and replaced with Captain Falcon. As a European that doesn't even know where California or Texas are on the map, I honestly don't understand why is this a thing. I never cared much about Captain America simply because for a long time I didn't know the character. I learned about Hawkeye before I knew anything about Steve Rogers. When the MCU came, I of course already knew who Cap is. But the MCU depiction is what made me care about this character. Same with Falcon. I really like his depiction in the Winter Soldier movie. So why? Why give a shield to a guy with wings? to protect his exposed head. To me, this situation is similar to Nightwing and Batman. Whenever someone says that Nightwing should be Batman, many Nightwing fans are like, no! That's because Nightwing is Nightwing. He is his own man, his own superhero. Why would he need to become Batman? One of the best Batman comic books is with Dick Grayson as Batman. But stories like that can work only because we know it's only temporary. Just like we knew that Otto Octavius wouldn't be Spider-Man forever. I think even Nightwing fans that are in support of the permanent change would eventually miss Nightwing. So the idea that Falcon can't exist on his own and has to be transformed into someone else is weird. For me, it's like Mar-Vell writers are saying Falcon stinks and he can only be validated by becoming Captain America. Is it the word America in his name that gives a hero validation? If so, then I guess America Chavez is the greatest hero ever. Captain America works because he was a World War II hero, a man out of time, a symbol of something that doesn't really exist anymore. I don't think giving that title to anyone else could possibly work in the long run. This is like giving the title of Sorcerer Supreme to someone who doesn't like cloaks. I'm talking about you, Wong. Every sorcerer needs a cloak. Number 19. Wong.
Just leave me out of this.
No. Wong was a decent character in the first Doctor Strange movie. Unfortunately, after that he became dumb and cringe. He was acting more like Sorcerer Supreme when he wasn't a Sorcerer Supreme. Number 20. Namor. Okay, how do I approach this? Let's ignore the elephant in the room and just present things as they are in the movie.
He called me
Un niño sin amor.
El Niño Sin Amor, child without love, and I took my name from there. Namor. I had no love for the...
I may not care about Namor as much as I care about some other Marvel characters, but this was a huge gut punch for long-time Namor fans. I can't imagine any of them being happy about completely changing a classic Marvel character like that. This is very similar to Taskmaster's situation. Everything about him was completely changed. No wait, he still has a little wingies on his leggies. Good job, Mar-Vell.